Anyways, today we're going to talk about some ground disturbance, obviously, permitting system that most major infrastructures have implemented, and this is specifically designed for major linear infrastructures, and for the most part, all of them have a zero strike policy. Oops. Anyways, we'll quickly go through who I am, projects of notes I've worked on, the problem, underground utility strikes, the root cause, generally poor communication, and I will talk about a 4-step procedure to eliminate strikes. You know, knowing where the utilities are in the area, sweeps to locate unknown abandoned utilities, upgrade class of locate to C/D, and to communicate in near real time to the construction crews. So myself, again, my name's Paul Newman, been in the civil construction, heavy civil construction for over 30 years, the last 15 years specializing in public-private partnerships. Typically been on large infrastructure projects in the city, inner city, typically light rail transit systems. And obviously those are multi-billion-dollar jobs and lots of interesting utilities when you get into downtowns of these cities. There's a major project we were on. That one was Southwest Calgary Ring Road with 49 bridges, 31 kilometers of new divided highway, 14 interchanges, 3 river crossings. Worked on REM for about 3 years, putting in a new light rail transit system in the city of Montreal, consisted of 26 stations, 67 kilometers of track. Both grade separated and a driverless system, 22 kilometers of elevated guideway there. Also worked on the Gordie Howe International Bridge project as when we did a bid for that, 2.5 kilometer bridge with a clear span of over 850 meters with no piers in the water, plus a full interchange on the I-75. So we'll talk here about ground disturbance permitting systems. You know, the first thing that's needed is a commitment from management to enforce the policy. Need to be able to plan the work, who is the responsible party, provide accurate and timely information, determine what the depth of excavation is, and an expiry date. So that is basically what we want from a construction or a GDP. What goes on is the field team will decide where they need to excavate. They'll draw a slight map of what they plan on doing, at which point we'd like to look at an area slightly larger, but this doesn't include all the locates in the area. The idea is to keep it limited to only the relative information that they need to know in the field for this particular task. So typically what a front end of a typical GDP is, it's got a permit number on it, what project, what utilities are in the area, a map showing where those utilities are, and a nice clear view of what they should be looking for and what is in the area. So we're going to talk here a little bit about how software can help. So these large construction projects, you know, obviously span over multiple years, multiple people and multiple teams. So again, one of them is just the survey management, trying to be able to organize and keep this data and to be able to present it. A locate order management system, meaning when you ask for locates, those are updated monthly, every couple of months, 60 days, 90 days, whatever. It becomes a huge task on a lot of these jobs on trying to maintain and confirm that you have compliant locates. A pothole management system. We have multiple hydrovacs going at all times, trying to maintain and understand where underground utilities are. The locator chevron update management. So just because we get a GIS system that says locate our utilities are here, they're not always correct. And then try to update the new installed management. Anyways, we'll talk here a little bit about the survey management assistance. So there's the survey managers are typically extremely busy. There's multiple aspects to do, so we're just trying to assist them in some of the simple things. So the obvious one is to give them an ability to easily upload utility related survey files. So when they go do a pothole and come back, they can just quickly upload the file that was created and it magically does what it needs to do. In the same token, this allows them to find previous data files, and we'll go into that here in a little bit, and display survey data so the entire team can use in a timely manner. So what typically happens on these jobs is we get what I consider a GIS dump. And it's the municipality or the utility company will give this every utility in the area in some form. We typically try to reduce this to only information that's within 100 meters of the project limits. Obviously, the more data in the system, the more slower it is. So to reduce a lot of this data, we just take it out of the system. And what we're really trying to do here is create a mapping system or location-based information system, meaning that if we have an accurate map of what's going on, people can usually, and I would say construction people typically are visually oriented, they can see this and understand exactly where they're standing and what they should be looking for. So again, these images are captured with a drone, they're ortho-corrected. On a typical job, we may fly this weekly to continue getting progress updates, and people can see what's happening on site at any given time. And this is showing, in this particular one, where all the existing utilities are. And, I've been in downtown cities where this gets even more congested, plus we have to deal with all the abandoned utilities. So one of the first things we do on these projects is we typically will subdivide the project into multiple areas. This particular one, we divided into, I think, about 20 some different individual areas, and each one of those areas will get a locate, and we will get locates exclusively for that area. Now, the idea of that is that it's kind of the divide and conquer thing. This particular job is 17 kilometers long, I believe, and obviously they don't want to send a locator to find every utility in 17 kilometers. So we'll divide it up. And that becomes a bit of an issue depending on the length of locates. Some are valid for 30 days, some are 60 and all that, but we end up having a management system. And I'm going to step back here a little bit. One of the things is we're in beta right now, which means it's a work in progress. We've got most things working. We're not fully functional yet, but again, it's one of those things that we're trying to have ready for September. But this is the program that's going on. We've got a bunch of this stuff already in. I'll show a bit of a live demonstration here at the end, but you'll get the idea here. But the idea is you can actually click on a location. It will spit out what the ticket number is, the request date, issued date, expires, all that type of stuff on any location. And it changes color when you need to order a new locate, or if it's red, it's expired. If it's green, you're good to go. So that's kind of what's going on with that idea. The other side of that is tracking pothole data. We actually will locate hundreds of locations, and this allows the survey team to upload the survey file. It quickly maps them or plots them on a map here that anybody on the project can see. And, in this example, I've got 3 hydrovacs working, in one picture. As we're trying to quickly assess where all the utilities are on different things before we start the work. So the idea is here that we can actually go and click on any one of these markers, and we can actually get the northing easting elevation of the utility. In this particular case, it's a 750 force mean with approximately 3 meters of cover at the time, with a date and a file name on there. Again, the idea here is the file name's preserved, and someone can actually go back in and check the records and confirm that, this was done, and it gives us a very good idea of how to find information and allows the entire team to see it, right? Again, this is all about communicating to the people that need to see the information. In this particular case, I'm going to go through, one of the things is when we get the GIS data, depending on when that GIS CAD work was created, it may not be as accurate as we'd like. And in this case, so we've got a gas line that was installed in the 70s or sometime. And if you see here, we're trying to map it out to where our location markers are. Now, obviously, we've gone out here and done some hydrovacking. What the software allows us to do is actually switch the dates around here, and we'll quickly see that the image has changed. And now we can zoom down into the area of interest here. We'll actually set this on edit first, and then we'll go in and start moving things around here. So this is basically updating what the GIS system provided. I can see the line marks on the ground. Again, this was corrected with a drone. And the nice thing is they can actually see the line marks. It's ortho-corrected imagery in here. Survey grade, again, I've got a hydrovac hole there. I know where that is. Anyways, now it's just a matter of going back down through here and looking for the very subtle yellow marks on the ground. I can see one there. So plus I got a hydrovac hole right there. Again, someone conveniently built a fence right on top of this gas line. That rarely happens, but again, no harm, no foul, I guess. But as you can see here, we're going through this, and we can actually quickly change the class of this from a class B to a class C, possibly a class D line locates as we start lining this utility up. Anyways, that can carry on. And again, some of this stuff is off by meters, right? So again, the quicker we can actually go through this, get another hydrovac hole. But anyways, you get the idea for doing that. Oops. The other thing we start to do is we start to use a lot of private locators. Again, they will perform sweeps. Again, trying to get people to take responsibility for abandoned utilities becomes a big issue. Not so much responsibility, but if they get hit and we don't know they're abandoned, it stops the crew from working until we can confirm. So we try to find everything that's out there, mark it as abandoned, put some X's through the drawings, and everybody knows it. Private locates are also great for remarking. If we didn't capture it in survey, typically we try to get a drone flight out immediately after the locates are done, which allows us to actually keep a very good record of where the paint marks were, which can result in eliminating disputes later on. Obviously, private locates are available when you need them, and typically the streetlights are never located. So that's what we use the private locators for. Again, this is the software here that we've got, but it's basically when they're going through it, they can actually sit down with different people and go through it in a organized way to actually start to make ready. And a make ready plan is typically, you're doing a checkbox list, but you want to make sure you got your designs complete, your equipment is there, you've got valid locates, you got a ground disturbance permit in place, you've got the materials on site, you got a crew available, you've got traffic control, and prior to the work starting. But that's kind of the typical stuff we'll go through and try to get this stuff ready to go. The other side of this is we continually add new infrastructure. So locates are great for showing what the existing utilities were prior to the project starting. We can actually put on the software here and show exactly where the new line is going. So here I've got a 900 mil storm sewer that's getting installed. The dot there in the center is where the manhole is going to be. So they're busy installing it. But what's more important to me is the foreman actually drew a line on saying the day before that's what they installed the day before. So we actually keep a nice visual record of what was installed when. And believe it or not, about, I think the stat was, I remember about 53% of our utility strikes are on a multi-year project are on utilities we've installed for the project. We have multiple crews working all over the site, and if this type of information doesn't show up, they just don't know that it's in the ground. It's buried again, and this helps us, well, more than helps us. It is instrumental in understanding what's in the ground at any given time. The other thing we do here is we actually provide a QR code in the window of the excavator. The operator can actually scan this and pull up on the phone using their GPS location to pinpoint where they are. And this isn't a replacement for locates or anything like that, but it's basically to give them a sense of where they're at and what utilities are in the area. Again, this is a live document. That means that as more information comes available, more stuff is displayed, or however it goes, right? So again, the idea is they'll scan the QR code, see what's going on, and if there's new infrastructure placed, it'll actually show up on the map as the days go on. They should know what's going on, but part of this whole permitting system is that we actually go out to the field, or one of our utility people, and go through with the foremans exactly what utilities are for the work area that they've outlined. And the other side of this is enforcement. And we actually go out there, and myself will go out and ask an operator at any given time. Typically, I try to do it on Saturdays when they think they're getting stuff through, but and ask them to see paperwork and make sure that they know exactly what utilities are where. This drives home the importance of to understand where everything is and to do what you can. Now, with that, I'm going to say, does anybody have any questions? I'll jump back here. That went, I guess, a little quicker than I was hoping, but it's close. So,
hey,
welcome back.
Paul, you're a ghost on the screen. I don't think your graphics card can keep up with the background.
Is that the problem? Let me
Might be.
do. How's that?
There you are. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Well, great presentation. Thanks for that. I noticed that I thought the use of the QR code in the cap was pretty neat. When did that come along?
We've pushed that in here in the last, well, I wouldn't say it's fully implemented, but that's, we've are using that right now. So in the last 6 months, I'm going to say, or this season, let's put it that way, that we're starting to push that out.
What's the feedback from the operator been?
Two sides of that. Some say they're computer illiterate and don't want anything to do with it. And other ones love it, that they get out there and actually can walk around and really understand it. So again, it's a bit of an age thing, is what I would say. Not that we're ageism, but it goes both ways. And but again, it's trying to get information into people's hands when they need it the most, right?
Absolutely. And you put together a lot of interesting tools there. What are so other than your team, what can you tell us about the types of people that are using this right now?
So I've got it out. Again, we're still in beta here, but we've got it on about 7 projects right now, major ones. So typically, some in Ottawa, we've got in Toronto, Calgary, probably be in Vancouver here later this year. But again, major infrastructure projects. People are using it. They're actually paying money for it, which is great. I think it's a very useful tool. Again, as we add features to this, so just this ground disturbance permit is the latest feature. Most of this is just being able to see the different layers of the project itself, right? That the idea is we've got multiple what I'm going to say CAD drawings, but to be able to overlay where a bridge is going um, quickly and see what's happening in the field. Confirming things are going in the right location, the length of a barrier is correct, and traffic control goes on. So that's kind of the problems we're trying to solve. And rather than the entire team of management going out and driving the site every day so they can understand what's going on, like on some of these jobs, we have 14, 20 crews working at any given times, and things change fast.
Mhm.
And just trying to keep up with it can be very challenging. And this allows people to take photos, overhead photos, and really understand what's going on, on a weekly basis, right?
Absolutely. We've got a question from the audience from Dwayne. So I'll read it out to you. Traditionally, municipalities and many construction operations do not use a GD permit or they are not familiar with the process. What is your experience with introducing the concept?
Well, it takes one strike. People quickly understand how vital it is. And, I don't think we're reinventing the wheel here. I think people intuitively know that they need to go to a permitting system. It's very similar to a confined space entry that has become very regulated. The regulations are going to come down on this sooner than later, I believe. And again, we're trying to get into a software version here that will greatly assist in helping provide valid information.